welcome to Zach Maths. In this video, I am going to go through some calculator content with you, which will be beneficial for you to just boost your confidence for either your second or third paper. So I would recommend you to have a calculator in front of you as we are going through these questions and have your worksheet or a piece of paper that you can make some notes with. Starting off with the first question, if 3 out of 8 of a length is 24 meters, what is the whole length? So that means if I have this divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 sections, knowing that these 3 sections would be 24, each section, each part of this then is going to be 8. So this means we are going to end up with 8 times 8, which is 64. Next question, solve 50 out of x plus 2 is equal to 5. Of course, in order for us to be able to solve these kind of questions, we need to get rid of the fraction. We need to get rid of our denominator. So we need to multiply both sides with x plus 2 for this side, x plus 2 for that side. X plus 2 and x plus 2 will simplify from here. And 50 is going to be 5x. 5 times x and 5 times 2. So that's going to be 5x plus 10. We now need to take 10 away from both sides, which will give us 40 is equal to 5x. Of course, we need to divide both sides with 5 to find out x, which is going to be 8. Next question, what is the reciprocal of 9.7? So we all should recognize that 9.7 is the same thing as 97 out of 10. And reciprocal of any fraction is going to be just actually flipping the fraction upside down. So it's going to be 10 out of 97. Next question. This is a bit of an interesting question. If a fair die is rolled twice, what is the probability of getting 2 of the same number? So we can get 1 and 1, or 2 and 2, or 3 and 3, or 4 and 4, or and so on, all the way up to 6. So for each section, we've got 1 and 1. Let's say 1 and 1 is the focus that I'm going to start with. If I get 1 and 1, or 2 and 2, or whatever, it's going to be 1 out of 6 and 1 out of 6, which will give us 1 out of 36. And we have 6 of these combinations, because we can have 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 5 and 5, 6 and 6. So if I have 6 lots of 1 out of 36, 1 out of 36 times 6, that will give me 6 out of 36, which will simplify down to 1 out of 6. A fast snail goes 40 centimeters in a minute. What speed is that in kilometers per hour? So if I know that 40 centimeters would be for every minute, in order for us to be able to find out what it is in an hour, we need to find out 60 minutes. So I'm going to write down 60 minutes. So 1 goes from here to there, so that's 60 from here to here, times with 60. That's 2,400 centimeters for 60 minutes. General information, we need to remember that 1 kilometer is the same thing as 100,000 centimeters. So what we need to do to find out what it is in kilometers per hour, we need to, if I write 2,400 centimeters here, you can clearly see that we need to divide this by this and times it with 1, which wouldn't make any difference if you times it with 1. So you need to divide 2,400 with 100,000, which is going to give us 0.024 kilometers per hour. Next question, when A is 2, B is -3, and C is -5, find the value of this. Okay, let's just substitute. Guys, I'm going to get rid of this division sign from here so I can have enough space to type this in. So I will have -3 plus square root of -3 squared, take away 4 times 2 times -5, divided by 2 times 2, which is going to be 4. So if I type this into my calculator, it is going to give me, divide, and we'll make sure that it's all square rooted, yeah. It's going to give me 2.5 as my final answer. Now, next question is asking us to find out the missing angle. I know this is a right angle triangle, so it either has to be Pythagoras or SOHCAHTOA. So if I know this is my Pac-Man, in front of this guy is opposite him, this in between the angle and 90 degrees is adjacent, and this is going to be hypotenuse. So the two possible sides I can use to find out this unknown angle is going to be adjacent and hypotenuse. So writing down SOHCAHTOA, we can clearly see that we'll be using cos. Okay, so cos x is equal to adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, which is 21 out of 23. At this stage, I need to do shift cos because I know the answer. I need to try and find out the angle. So when I do shift cos, it will give me cos to the power of -1, this, and this is going to be roughly around 24. And that's our answer. The area of this square is 1,329 millimeters squared. Find the perimeter. Give your answer to the nearest millimeter. So I know this is x, because it's an area of a square. I just called it x, so both sides are going to be the same. So x times x is x squared is the same thing as 1,329. If I square root both sides, I will be able to find out what x is, which is going to be something around like 36.4-ish. And of course, we have 4 lots of these x's. So I need to times this by 4 to find out the perimeter. And if I do that, 4 times 36.4, that gives me 145.8-ish. To the nearest millimeter is going to be 146. Okay, for the next question, Max and Alex share some money in the ratio of 5:8. Alex gets 276 more than Max. So the difference between Alex and Max is 3. So 3 is represented by 276. So if I divide 276 by 3, I will be able to find out what one part of that ratio is. And 276 divided by 3 would give me £92. So it's asking me to find out how much Max would get. Max is getting 5 parts of this ratio, so that means it's going to be 5 times £92, and that will give us 460. So that's going to be £460. The first 3 terms of a geometric sequence are 6x plus 12, 6x squared plus. Okay, so what they are doing is that from this number to this number, I'm going to have to times it by x plus. I'm timesing it with x and adding 12 to it, which in other words, if I just write it down as expansion, it's going to be multiplying it with x plus 2. So if I multiply 6 by x plus 2, the reason why I thought about multiplication is because it's a geometric sequence. So I'm timesing these with x plus 2 each time, and they want us to find out the next term. So if I times 6x squared plus 24x plus 24 with x plus 2, then that would mean that I'm going to have to multiply everything with x first, and then everything with 2, and then collect the like terms. So this, in the end, would give me 6x cubed, 6x squared times x is 6x cubed, plus 24x times x is 24x squared, 24 times x is 24x, plus 6x squared times 2 is 12x squared, and then we've got 48x plus 48. So when I collect the like terms, so we've got this and this, this and this, I'm going to write my final answer up here. 6x cubed plus 36x squared plus 72x plus 48 is what we are going to get. So, next question. When a fish tank is only 8% full, it contains 1,760 millilitres. How much does it hold when completely full? Answer in litres. So I need to convert this into litres then. There are 1,000 millilitres in a litre. So if I divide this by 1,000, this is the same thing as 1.76 litres. So if 8% is 1.76 litres, I can go down to 1 and then go back up to 100. So divided by 8 and multiply by 100 to go back up to 100. So 1.76 divided by 8 is going to give us 0.22, and then from here I'm going to times it by 100, so that's going to be 22 litres. That's my final answer. Now, this next question is basically telling us that there are intersection points. So whenever there's an intersection point, that means you can equate your equations. So if y is equal to 3x plus 2 and y is equal to negative 2x plus 7, obviously when they are meeting at this point, they are equal to each other. So you can just say 3x plus 2 is the same thing as negative 2x plus 7. Let me just rewrite it in a better position so you can see the working out. So we've got 3x plus 2 is equal to negative 2x plus 7. What we can do is we are going to balance the equation. We're going to add 2x to both sides. This 2x is going to cancel out, so we'll have 5x. We'll have 5x plus 2 is equal to 7. Take 2 away from both sides will give us 5x equals to 5. And divide both sides with 5, x would be 1. And when x is 1, what I can do is I can substitute x value into here. The reason why I'm picking this is because it's the one without the negative. So I'm going to be doing 3 times 1 plus 2 for y. So it's going to be 3 times 1 plus 2 for the y-axis. So your y-axis is going to be 3 plus 2, which is 5. Work out the length of the diagonal of this square. So if this is a square and this section is 4.3, of course I know that the other section is going to be 4.3 as well because it is a square. So if this is a right angle triangle, therefore, because all these sections here are at 90 degrees, and I can treat this as a right angle triangle and use Pythagoras' theorem. So two short sides, we're going to square add and square root it. So it's going to be 4.3 squared plus 4.3 squared is equal to c squared, or the question mark squared. It's totally up to you. When I do 4.3 squared and 4.3 squared, it's giving me 36.98. So 36.98 is equal to c squared. So we need to square root both sides, and c would be 6.1. Next question. The area of this sector is 22.4 centimeters squared. So if I was to try and find out the area of this sector, I would have to do pi times radius squared times angle divided by 360. If this is equal to 22.4, then I need to substitute 6.3 in here. So that's going to be pi times 6.3 squared times, let me just write it here. Okay, pi times 6.3 squared times something out of 360 is equal to 22.4. So I need to times both sides with 360 to get rid of that 360 there. So if I do 22.4 times 360, 8,064. So I've got pi times 6.3 squared times theta is equal to 8,064. Then if I divide both sides with pi times 6.3 squared, I would be able to find out the answer. Let me just quickly do it on my calculator. 6.3 squared. So this divided by pi times 6.3 squared. I'm going to put that inside the bracket, and that should give me 64.67, which is, to one decimal place, 64.7 is what my final answer is going to be. Next question is 3x minus 5, x plus 4, ax squared plus bx plus c. So what we need to do is we need to expand the bracket first and then collect the like terms to see what a, b, and c would be. When I expand the bracket, I get 3x squared plus 12x minus 5x minus 20, and that is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So 3x squared, let's collect the like terms. 12x minus 5x is going to give you 7x. So I've got 3x squared plus 7x minus 20 is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is 3, b is 7, and c is going to be negative 20 for this question. So in a Fibonacci type of sequence, the fourth term is 2x plus 9. Let's write down the term 2x plus 9. And the fifth term is 3x plus 16. Find out the third term. This is 4, this is 5. They want us to find out 3. Obviously, in order for me to get the fifth term, I added whatever the third term is to the fourth term to find out what the fifth term was. So if I take those two away, I would be able to find out what the third term is. So 3x take away 2x is x. 16 take away 9 is going to be 7. So the third term is going to be x plus 7. A straight line with gradient 5 goes through the point 317. Find the equation of the line. So we know it's a straight line, so therefore it's going to be y equals mx plus c. It says that the gradient is going to be 5, so we can write down 5x plus c. And what we really need to do is we need to substitute this into x and this into y. And in this case, I would end up with 17 is equal to 5 times 3 plus c. 17 is equal to 15 plus c. Take away the 15 from both sides. We'll find out that c is going to be 2 in this case. Our equation is, I'm going to write it up here, y is equal to 5x plus 2. Next question. Fred and George share some sweets in the ratio of 5 to 9. Fred gives 5 sweets to George. Their sweets are now in the ratio of 5 to 11. So starting off, it was 5 to 9. And if I actually, because I'm going to be giving some away, I'm going to write this algebraically. So it's going to be 5x to 9x to start off with, which will give us the initial number of sweets when we find out the x. So if I'm taking 5 away from this side and adding it onto my next side, so it's going to look like 5x take away 5 is 9x plus 5. So I took 5 away from this and added 5 to this. So the ratio now is 5 to 11, is what the question is saying. So what I can do is I can do my cross multiplication from here, which would give me 55x, take away 55. So I did 11 times 5, 11 times negative 5 is equal to 5 times 9x, which is 45x. And 5 times 5 is going to be 25. Lovely. So then I am going to solve this. If I take 45 away from 55, that's going to be 10x minus 55 is equal to 25. Add the 55 to both sides is going to give me 10x is equal to 80. So x in this case is 8. So 5 times 8 to 9 times 8 would give us the number of sweets we have. So that's going to be 112. There we go. Next question. Formula for finding the area of a regular hexagon is actually 3 root 3 out of 2 times side squared, which in other words is basically just, we're going to need to type this 5.34 in. So 3 root 3 out of 2 times 5.34 squared. And that gives me 74.06 centimeters squared. There you go. N is an integer. Proof algebraically that the sum of n plus 2, n plus 1, and n plus 2 is always a square number. So let's just expand this bracket first. It's going to be n squared plus 2n, n squared, n, 2n. Right, that's done in order. N plus 2n plus 2. If I add n plus 2 to this, it's always going to be a square number. So n, 2n, n, so that's 4n, n squared plus 4n plus 2. 2 times 2 is 2, 4. This is 4. So it's n plus 2 and n plus 2 when I factorize this, which means it's going to be n plus 2 squared, which is an indication that it's going to be a square number. Right, so let's have a look at this question. This sketch shows the part of the graph with equation y equals pq to the power of, okay, so we have pq to the power of x, coordinates of 0, 8, 1, 18, 1.5, and k. Okay, when x is 0, y is 8, pqx would become, if I substitute 0 into x and 8 into y, it would give me 8 is equal to p times q to the power of 0. And we know that q to the power of 0 is going to be the same thing as 1. So p times 1 is p, so p is 8. So we found p to be 8. So when, I'm going to use these coordinates now, this is 1, x is 1 and y is 18, I can write 18 is equal to 8 q to the power of 1, which gives me, let me write it next to it, which gives me 18 is equal to 8q divided by 8 would be q, which is 2.25. So I found p to be 8, q to be 2.25. So I'm going to substitute that into this. So for the next one, for the next pair of coordinates, which is 1.5 and k, I will have y is equal to p is 8. I'm going to write 8 for p. Q is 2.25 times 2.25. And to the power of x, which x is going to be 1.5. And I type this into my calculator and it will give me gives me 27. Y is 27, which is k, because k is this is x, this is y, remember, so k is going to be 27. There you go. Okay, next question is triangle LMN has LM side of 6.3, LN as 5.8. Okay, so this triangle here, this is, there are angles, so this, if I call this LMN, this is x-axis, this side is 5.8, this side is 6.3, and this bit here is 32. Now, I can use sine rule, so I can do 6.3 divided by sin x is equal to 5.8 divided by sin 32. Cross multiplication and rearrangement is going to be sin x 5.8 is equal to 6.3 sin 32. We need to divide both sides with 5.8, which gives me sin x is equal to 6.3 times sin 32 divided by 5.8. So we need to do shift sin, type this in, which will give us 35.1 degrees. So in order for us to be able to find out the other possible value, we need to consider the sine rule, the sine graph. So we've got a sine graph like this. Imagine this is 90. The first one is, so this is 180. The first section we found is 35.1. So the next option, because imagine your possible values are along here and intersecting from these 2 points. So these are the points that we are looking for. So this bit here is actually 180. I need to take away 35.1 from it. So 180 take away 35.1 is what we are doing, which is going to give us 144.9. There you go. Now, next question, work out the integer values that satisfy this. I mean, I can easily divide all of these by 2 and end up with x squared minus 5x plus 5. X squared minus 5x plus 5 is less than 0. I'm going to have to use quadratic formula. So minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And when I substitute these values into my formula, which should look like, let me just write it down. This should really look like, when I substitute it into formula, it's going to look like this. Negative 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5 divided by 2a, which is 2 again. So it will give me, I'm going to do it with the positive and a negative, so it will give me 2 possible values, which would be 1.382 something, and then the next one is going to be 3.618 something something. So when I write it down as my inequality, the possible values I have, so I am looking for numbers that are integers in between 1.382 and 3.618. So it's going to have to be 2 and 3, because after 1.3 the next integer is 2, and then from 2 to go to all the way up to 3.6, the next integer for that is going to be 3. So you've got your first possible value as 2 and then the second possible value as 3. So this is the end of this session. So good luck with your exams, guys, and I'll see you later. you.